for being present this evening to celebrate our Mayapur Yatra, first day. Earlier, we visited the Yoga Pit, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami begins Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita with these prayers that we attempted to offer this evening. In these prayers, Kaviraj Goswami begins by offering obeisances to the spiritual masters, to the Vaishnavas, and to Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and their eternal associates. He explains that in the process of invocation, first there is defining the object, then offering obeisances, and offering benedictions. The Diksha Gurus, the Shiksha Gurus, the Padarshaka Gurus are all explained by Kaviraj Goswami to be one. Although they each have their particular unique roles in our lives, together they are all representing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By offering obeisances sincerely and receiving their blessings and those of the Vaishnavas, all obstacles in the path of devotional services can be easily overcome. And the real goal of life, pure devotional service, can be achieved. Without the blessings of Guru and Vaishnavas, it is impossible. Therefore, there is no greater wealth to achieve in all the 14 worlds than the blessings of Guru and Vaishnavas. But what does it mean to receive blessings? Srila Prabhupada explains the mercy of Krishna and his devotees are like rain. They are falling. The rain is falling everywhere. But we have to expose ourselves to the rain to gain the benefit. If we are hiding in a cave, a drop will not touch us. So the blessings of the great souls are achieved by following their instructions sincerely. Tadvidi pranipatina pariprashnena se. First, we must be submissive. We must be simple. We must be humble. We must accept that I do not know. As long as we think we know, then all we get is what we know, or what we have the capacity within our brain to know. But Krishna is billions and trillions of quadrillions of light years away from the farthest reach of your intelligence or your brain. He could only be known when out of his mercy he reveals himself. So the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna approaches Krishna. I do not know. And he was desperate. He was not coming to hear from Krishna like most people come to Bhagavad Saptaha or Bhagavad Gita class. Neither was Parikshit Maharaj. They were desperate. They were urgent. They were hungry. There's no hunger. There's no real digestion. They were in a situation where they were starving to hear about Krishna. There was a need, necessity. When we approach in that spirit, and then we're willing to serve, then blessings can actually be digested within one's heart. Srila Prabhupada writes in one purport, what is the test that one is sincerely chanting Hare Krishna? That one has a sincere enthusiasm to serve. At the same time, it is this enthusiasm to serve that attracts Krishna to manifest within his holy names. At the beginning, our enthusiasm to serve must be done as an austerity. Someone asked Prabhupada, what if I do not feel enthusiastic? Srila Prabhupada answered, then you act enthusiastic. Because by our actions, we are expressing to Krishna our intent that we want that enthusiasm. And by chanting Hare Krishna, with that intent, with that will, and with activities that express our service attitude, Krishna blesses us through his name. And then the test that from within our heart, a deep, spontaneous, natural enthusiasm to serve awakens more and more and more. We should not be artificial. Srila Prabhupada was very practical and very real. He was not concerned with people trying to cultivate the mood of the gopas and the gopis prematurely. He understood all these purifications and blessings will take place by Krishna's grace if we have a sincere enthusiasm to serve the order of the spiritual master, to serve the Vaishnavas, to serve the people in general by being an instrument of the Lord's compassion, by being eager to hear about Krishna and eager to chant his holy names. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What the Upanishads worship as the Supreme Brahman, who the yogis worship as the Paramatma, seated within the heart of every living being. Paramatma is like the sun. And just as the sun is reflected in thousands and thousands of jewels, the Paramatma is manifested within the heart of every living being. In fact, the Paramatma is in and between each and every atom. All-pervading, all-knowing, past, present, and future. The witness of every action and every word. That is Paramatma. And Bhagavan, the source of everything, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vadanti tat tat vividas tattvam yajganamadvayam brahmiti paramatmiti Bhagavan iti shabdati. There are three features of the Absolute Truth: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. Bhagavan is manifesting in the spiritual world many, many forms. Narayan, Ramchandra, Varaha, Narasingha. The Srimad Bhagavatam declares, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, that Krishna is the original source of all other manifestations, incarnations of the Lord. He possesses all opulence to the supreme degree. And ultimately, although God is one, Krishna, the Lord of Vrindavan, exchanges the sweetest pastimes with his devotees. The pastimes of spontaneous love. Once in a day of Brahma, Krishna appears in his original form. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains how the 4 yugas, one cycle is called a Divya Yuga. 71 Divya Yugas equals 1 Manvantar, or the period in which a particular Manu controls the world. 14 Manvantars equals 1 day of Brahma, which is approximately 4,320,000,000 years. Once in a day of Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govindam Adipurusham, in his original form, descends to this world. And with him, he brings his abode of Vrindavan, his paraphernalia, and his eternal loving associates. And reveals the 4 mellows of spontaneous love in servitude, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. After Krishna departed from this world, Chaitanya Charitamrita reveals Krishna's thoughts. He was thinking that after a long time, I have not bestowed unalloyed loving service, without which this entire universe is useless. everywhere religious people are following the various rituals and injunctions of the scriptures. But through this process alone, one cannot attain the loving service of the residents of Vrindavan. Krishna, he reveals to us in his own heart that when his devotees worship him with awe and reverence, he considers it feeble devotion in comparison to the spontaneous devotion of the residents of Vrindavan. Because such devotional service can raise you to the platform of Vaikuntha, where there's eternal blissful life. But that type of devotion cannot control Krishna. Krishna's greatest pleasure is to be controlled by his devotees. In Vrindavan, Yashoda Mai binds Krishna with ropes. The cowherd boys climb on his shoulders and defeat him in games. And the gopis, they reproach him with harsh words, which steal his mind away from the hymns of the Vedas. Therefore, Krishna feels, he is thinking, that I shall personally descend into this world and inaugurate the Harinam Sankirtan movement and make the whole world dance with the mellows of this type of spontaneous love. But in order to do so, I must assume the role of my own devotee. Then it is quoted the verses from Bhagavad Gita. Yadyaracharati svaistas tat tat evetaro yatraya sayat pramanam kurute lokas tat anuvartata. What a great person does, the common man will follow. So Krishna's thinking, you cannot really teach a person substantially unless you follow yourself. So I will come in the role of my own devotee to teach the pure love by which one can be elevated to Vrindavan. At the same time, Krishna is thinking that any of my plenary expansions can teach Yuga Dharma. But no one but me can bestow the loving service of the residents of Vrindavan. So I shall appear. Lord Chaitanya came to this world 4,586 years after the Kali Yuga began. Garga Muni in Srimad Bhagavatam knew of the Lord's appearance. During the name-giving ceremony of Krishna, he told Nanda Maharaj and the Brajvasis that your son, he has appeared with different colors in different ages. He appeared with a white color, and a red color, and a yellow color. And now he is appearing in this blackish, beautiful form. In this verse, he clearly reveals that in Kali Yuga, the Supreme Lord appears with his beautiful golden complexion. And the great yogi Karabhajana Muni in 11th canto declares, Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sankopangasya Parashanam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayaya Janti Hi Sumedas. That those who have good intelligence in this age of Kali, they will worship the Supreme Lord, who appears in this non-blackish, golden form. And how is he worshipped? Through the performance of Nam Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names. Just prior to Lord Chaitanya's appearance here in Navadvip, there was terrible degradation. Now generally, if a person is economically or politically minded, one considers material affluence to be successful society. When politicians want to gain their seat in office, they generally promise people economic prosperity. Yes, that is the standard, which will bring about happiness for those who are materially minded. Navadvip was fabulously opulent. It was the high seat of learning for the whole world. People in Navadvip they had much money, tremendous amount of opulences. People were really materially satisfied. But when the devotees saw their condition, they wept with compassion because they wasted their lives without Krishna. They were worshipping demigods, spending huge amounts of money on marriages. And if they didn't have a child to get married, they would spend huge amount of money to get dogs and cats married. His heart burned with compassion. How to make Krishna appear? Nobody else could establish within this age of Kali Yuga the Nam Sankirtan movement and the process of pure devotional service to the Lord. Only if Krishna himself comes is there hope. So he remembered a sloka from the Gautamiya Tantra, which describes how if Krishna is worshipped with simple devotion, by just offering us a tulsi leaf and some water, he is conquered by that devotion and must fulfill the desire of his devotee. Advaitacharya spent days and days, weeks, years, worshipping Lord Krishna with tulsi leaves and Ganges water and loudly crying out, begging Krishna to appear. His calls were so loud, not just in volume, but in love, in compassion, that it pierced through all the layers of material existence, entered into the Brahma-jyoti, bypassed the Vaikunthas, and went right to Goloka Vrindavan, where it was heard by Krishna. Srila Prabhupada tells a story. When he was a child, he was in a drama, and he played Advaitacharya. Whose supreme compassion act for all of us brought the Lord down to deliver us. And he said he played the role of Advaita so sincerely that everyone in the audience was crying. Prabhupada said, this is really good drama when everyone cries. So just at that time, when the Lord was scheduled to appear as his Yuga avatar, to lift the burden of the world, it mixed with the same time that the Supreme Lord in his original form was to come, and meanwhile Advaitacharya was crying out on behalf of all living entities. When Krishna appears, all the other incarnations are mixed within his body, because he is the source of all avatars. And it is Vishnu, present within his body, that kills the demons. But the original Krishna simply appears to perform his loving pastimes, to attract the hearts of the conditioned souls within this world. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tells that all that we just explained were the secondary reasons why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. His prime reason were two: to taste the sweetness of the essence of love of God and to propagate devotional service with spontaneous attachment. Krishna, along with his eternal loving devotees from Vrindavan, he descended to this world to perform pastimes that had never even been seen in Vaikuntha, and that even amazed him. And by hearing these pastimes, one's heart becomes attracted to aspire to follow in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes were to reach out even to the untouchables, to make no discrimination who was fit or who was unfit, but to give everyone the opportunity. He wove a garland with the flowers of the holy name and love of God, and placed that garland around the entire world. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tells that he wanted to understand the glories of Radha's love, to understand the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relished through her love, and to taste the happiness that she alone relishes by realizing his love. In this way, taking the sentiments and the emotions of Srimati Radharani, the Lord appeared like the moon within the ocean of the womb of Sachi Devi. the Lord was thinking that Sri Radha is the abode of love, and he is the ultimate object of love. But how the abode of love experiences 10 million times more pleasure than the object. Krishna is saying that although I am the reservoir of all rasas and ecstasies, I am only the object of love. But I can never taste the fulfillment of these three desires unless I become the abode of love. Thus, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahi Anu. Radha and Krishna become one. Who is Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Krishna with the sentiment and the complexion of Srimati Radharani, who has come to the world not only to taste that love, but to propagate it and distribute it through Nam Sankirtan. When the Lord decided to appear, first he sent his eternal associates in the form of his parents and his seniors in many places. Besides Navadvip, in Srihata, Advaitacharya, Madhavendra Puri, Jagannath Mishra, Nilambar Chakravarti, Murari Gupta, and so many great souls appeared. In Chattagaon, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Vasudev Datta, Mukunda Datta, Chaitanya Ballabha. In Srihuta, Paramananda Puri. In Ekachakra, Nityananda Prabhu appeared. Sachi Devi was married to Jagannath Mishra. She had 8 daughters. Each one of them died just after their birth. Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi it was the Lord within their heart that was invoking the deep desire for them to have a child. It was an insatiable desire. After losing 8 children consecutively, after 8 full pregnancies, they did special worship for their deity of Shalagram Shiva. And in reciprocation, a beautiful son was born, Vishwarupa. Now most people, if the Lord fulfills your desire, then you don't need the Lord so much anymore. But Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi, because the Lord fulfilled their desire, they increased in every way their worship of the Lord. That is a real devotee. They reciprocated. And then, in the year of 1485, in the month of Magh, the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, in the mood of Sri Radha, appeared within the mind of Jagannath Mishra and was transferred to the heart of Sachi Devi. From there he entered into her womb in the month of Magh. There are many beautiful stories. When she was pregnant, she became effulgent. She would tell Jagannath Mishra that I'm having visions where demigods are coming and worshipping the child within the womb. In fact, one day Advaitacharya, leader of all Vaishnavas, he came to the house of Jagannath Mishra. And there, he began to offer prayers with folded palms to her womb. And he took chandan with a flower and offered the sandalwood pulp to her womb. Then he offered repeated dandavat obeisances. Now this was very scary, because Advaitacharya was so powerful. If he offered obeisances to a deity, and Krishna was not living in that deity, the deity would break. So could you imagine Sachi Devi? She already lost 8 children, and now he's offering obeisances to the child within her womb. Circumambulated her 8 times. And she said, Advaita, what are you doing? Why? He just laughed and left. 9 months passed, 10 months, 11 months, 12 months. The child's still in the womb. This was causing great concern. They consulted Sachimata's father, Nilambar Chakravarti, who was a great Brahmin and an astrologer as well. He performed his calculations and declared that this is not an ordinary child. This child is waiting for the supreme, most auspicious moment that is most conducive to his mission to take his birth. He was in the month of Phalguna, on the full moon night. There was an eclipse. Eclipse usually means inauspicious. But whatever helps us to remember Krishna is actually very auspicious. Sometimes when things are very, very auspicious, we forget Krishna because things are just so nice. Have any of you ever had that experience? But when things are really inauspicious, you feel so helpless, sometimes even fearful. And a devotee in that situation turns to Krishna. I remember just a couple years back, I was in an airplane and they were having an emergency landing. And it appeared that we're going to die. They kept making these announcements, every 5 minutes. Please listen carefully. There will be an emergency landing. And they told us you have to duck down, you have to put your head between your legs, and you have to be prepared that there could be, anything could happen. And babies were crying, and people were really afraid, and the airline hostesses were trying to be grave, but they were trembling and chattering. And 5 minutes later, announcement, emergency landing, please listen carefully. Very dangerous. And this went on for about 45 minutes. And the announcements were becoming more and more urgent each time. And then we're approaching the runway. What happened is all the systems that controlled the plane went out. They had no power, really. And they had to stop the flight as soon as it touched the ground, otherwise it could be a disaster. And when we were coming close to the runway, we saw, it was in Bombay, dozens and dozens of fire trucks with their lights, and ambulances, dozens of ambulances with their lights flaring, all waiting for us. So, is that inauspicious? It was the most auspicious flight I was ever on. Because I never chanted so sincerely in any flight I've ever taken. Usually in flights you're kind of half asleep, like, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Wasn't like that. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. This is the end, Hare Krishna. It's beautiful. Krishna says, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Mangalamam, that wherever the chanting of the holy name of Vishnu is, Nama Sankirtanam Vishnu, Jagat Mangalamam Hasam, wherever the chanting of the holy name of Vishnu is, everything becomes supremely auspicious. So the Lord arranged for Rahu to come and cover the moon, eclipse, because it was considered so inauspicious, even people who weren't Hindus were chanting Hare Krishna. Throughout all directions, everyone was chanting the holy names of Hari. In Navadvip, nobody chanted Hari's name, except a few Brahmins who did it, who said, Om Pundarikaksha, while they were taking their morning oblations in the Ganges. Other than that, nobody were here, except the devotees. But on this day, millions of people were crowding in the Ganges, loudly chanting the holy names. The devotees were praying, let this eclipse last forever. Because it's making everything supremely auspicious. Everyone's chanting Hare Krishna. While the holy names of Krishna were resounding in the 10 directions, the Supreme Personality of Godhead made his appearance within the world.